I am Dusty Neal, and this is
Deep Think.
And we are rocking and rolling again. So, today's subject we're going to be talking about, let's just get right to it, is fear. And I mean fear in every level. Fear when you're out in the woods and you're afraid of animals, you're afraid of scary movies, you're afraid of driving because of maybe you'll get into a car accident, or you're afraid of airplane flights, or you're afraid of relationships, you're afraid of getting your heart broken, you're afraid of, well, a big thing right now is being afraid of relationships, women being afraid of men, and also there are some things that men are also afraid of in life too. That's also getting their heart broken. So we're going to try to discuss a lot of those things today. So, where do you think we should start at?
Oh, I think we should start with relationships.
Relationships. Okay, so relationships. They can be complicated. They can, especially these days in time with all the social media and the stimulation of what you get from social media, and the also it gives women and men different choices and varieties. It gives their high levels of varieties for choices when it comes to relationships. So what topic of the relationship do you think we should talk about?
Oh, I think that recently the most popular topic has been the topic of whether a woman would prefer having to be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I think this was a question posed on TikTok by someone. I don't know who, but basically they posed this question, and a lot of the women chose the bear. And it speaks highly to the fact that women find strangers, men who are strangers, quite frightening.
Well, yeah. Like I said, I think it's mostly to blame on the stimulation of social media. Honestly, movies these days have been getting really evil when it comes to showing women getting raped, or abusive men towards women, or girls getting their heart broken, girls going on revenge towards men. This is just highly stimulated when it comes to social media and movies. So I think a lot of that is high overstimulation of that. Because honestly, I talked to a lot of guys. When I first heard about this, I talked to a lot of guys, and a lot of guys just say, man, I just cannot approach a woman, And then the older guys, they say, yeah, it's just not like the old days anymore. It's not meeting organic anymore. You have to meet on a dating site and hope for the best. And even the dating sites, honestly, they suck.
Yeah. Well, it might partially be media, but I think there's a deeper societal issue going on here. And that is the fact that women do generally need to be careful when they're out and about, because there are guys out there who are not well socially adjusted. And if you run into just one of those, like, you can meet 100 good guys, but if there's one bad guy out there, they can ruin your day or more.
Well, that does come to the subject of why and what this show is about. It's about helping society come together and start helping society really think about morals and values on how they approach the world these days. Because honestly, in my opinion, society just doesn't care right now. They're just focusing on all the bad things, but they're honestly not trying to do something about it. And that's why we created this show. Right, Deep Think?
Of course.
help out. Yeah.
Part of it.
So
it's also just fun to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, well, this subject, it's not really fun because there's a lot of I just want women to be able to trust men a lot more. And I like I said, for some reason my brain keeps on going to social media. It does. You've got so much stimulation on the brain that it's kind of like why I don't watch news a lot, because my eyes and my ears and my brain gets focused on the war. And pretty soon I'm talking about war everywhere I go. And I get this fear inside of we're going to get bombed in the U.S. And see, I think that relates to exactly what women are going through also. And don't get me wrong, ladies. I know you've been through some really poopy relationships in the past, and you also get fear from that. So I'm not missing out on that either. So I'm just saying that overstimulation can be somewhat the problem, but also the other part that Deep Think said is the way society is these days. Because the way we're being raised, what we're seeing on TV, what we're allowing, what kind of music is played, what kind of movies and TV shows that we have. I mean, I just saw a movie the other day. I forget the name of the movie. It's this new romantic movie. Let me see what it's called. And I know you guys would probably be like, oh, that's no big deal. But back in my days, we didn't have that kind of stuff shown on TV. Let's see what it's called. Let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second. I just watched it just recently. It was on Netflix. And what was it called? It was a romance movie. Let's see. How about I just look for... What are you doing?
Entertaining our
top
guests while you look for that movie.
Romance movie. Comedy. Okay, here it is. It's called Anyone But You. Okay? It's about a woman and a man that kind of fake a relationship throughout the whole movie because of a misunderstanding in the very beginning. Well, in the movie, if you guys have seen it, there's a couple of parts that I thought were just a little bit extreme, especially the part when the guy is talking to another guy, and it shows the head of his penis, and he goes, "Hey, what you talking about?" And he starts talking with his penis, and it shows the actual man's part down there. So, I mean, what do you think that's doing to society by allowing that? But at the same time, you know, we always said that we're going to end up like Europe later on, and we're going to start having nudity on commercials and stuff like that as America changes. But let's think about let's go back to fear. So, don't you think that overstimulation is causing the fear in women's minds? I mean, the overstimulation of the internet. I mean, there is personal experience what they've been through, but also adding that to it.
Right. I think that the fact that we have access to this overarching base of knowledge actually gives us a clearer view on our surroundings.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's everything. I'm talking murders that are happening, people that are in prison, bad to good people, to honest people. It gives us basically a library of everything at our fingertips, all the time, anytime, in our hand.
Definitely. And I will agree that media tends to focus on terrible things because that's what gets people's attention.
That is so horrible, isn't it? They want to do, what is it called? Hook, line, and sinker, kind of those hook commercials. What are they? Am I saying it wrong? When they bait you, hook and bait.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean,
and they bait you in by showing you drama because that's what gets the ratings.
Well, it's also like what gets attention.
Yes,
because it's like a basic visceral. Like that's a part of what what we want to talk about here today is that fear is a method of control, and it is a method of gaining people's attention.
Exactly, because there are good men and women out there. I mean, there's a bunch. They're all over the place, and because of this fear, women and men are just literally hardly talking to each other right now. They're so focused that they're going to get hurt. Women are in any way that they put up a wall so big that a man can't even walk up like the old days romantically and be like, hey, how you doing? My name's so and so.
Well, actually,
something that's just normal.
Actually, in the old days, if you did that, you would be considered really kind of out there. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
How did they do it back in the old days?
Back in the old days, you
school,
basically had to be introduced to the girl by someone who knew you and also knew the girl.
Isn't that more Japanese than American?
No.
Maybe that's why I got it all wrong growing up then. Because
right.
Maybe, I don't know.
No,
I've always met a woman organically.
I'm talking back like in my own grandma's time.
Oh, yes. That... Deep think. We're just talking about in the past 40 years, okay, not 80. I know back in the 40s how it used to be. You'd have to be properly introduced, and that's back in my mom's days.
Exactly.
But we're talking about I guess it integrates from that to now. But we did go through a time to where we could just literally just walk up and be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Right.
Doing good. And she's like, "I'm doing good." "Oh, your friend's cute," and "Hey, you're cute too," and "Hey, would you like to go out on a date?" "Yeah, that'd be just fine." But nowadays, it's like, "Hey, how you doing?" "You pervert, get away from me." I mean, literally, it's that quickly with just talking to somebody. Or it's like, "Oh, God, you're just another one of those guys." Or
there are a lot
of with women, like, you're just, "Oh, great, here we go again."
There are a lot of those guys out there, which is kind of why...
They've always been out there, is my feeling.
Well, yeah, but like...
They're just more shown because of social media.
If you are constantly berated by a series of people trying to get in your pants, I mean, what are you going to do? You're just going to start treating everybody who approaches you as a potential person who is trying to get in your pants, right?
Ladies, that does suck because men, they can be overwhelming sometimes, even though I am a man. But I was raised by my mom and my sister, so I kind of understand both sides. But men can be overwhelming, and they can think with their other parts instead of thinking with this part. Right. So I'm sorry about that, guys.
Which is a huge part of why women prefer the bear.
The bear with the huge claw.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I've been studying on this for a while. I've been asking a lot of men and a lot of women, and it's always the same answer. Women are just tired of chauvinistic pigs in men. And now men, because women are changing more equally to men these days and working in the world, and we're equaling out, which I think is awesome. A woman should be able to work where we work, and that's how it should be. It shouldn't be separated. It should be, if a woman wants to be a kickboxer or a construction worker or what's another hardcore job?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anything. A woman should be welcome to basically do anything. But at the same time, I don't know. I lost my thought there. It's just too much to think about. And honestly, I think the only cure to this is back yourself away from social media so much and give the world a chance again. And because, the statistics show that, you could go out in New York City and everybody feared New York City because of you would get mugged if you walk on the streets at nighttime. I lived in New York City. I know that it doesn't happen so often. It is there, but it doesn't make me to the point where I cannot go out of my house, get on the subways. The way I do it, if I was a woman, I would bring some kind of protection with me, mace, bug spray, I don't know. Bring something to be able to, if you feel the fear, that will help you stay protected. One well, like my daughter, I always have her. I always say, "Do you have your knife?" But then again, ladies, don't go out stabbing every man because suddenly you think he's
Right.
he's a bad guy.
Like,
oh, how you doing, hon?
Right. I think we talked about this earlier, but basically, like arguments like that are an attempt to put the all of the I don't know, the
You're
power
even losing
of
train of thought too on this one. This one's difficult.
I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. The argument like that means that the women are responsible for their own safety, but it's not the men who are doing the assaulting.
Well, she has a good man beside her. I say the man should also protect the woman.
Let me finish,
at the same
okay?
time. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It's not like arguments like that kind of are tricky because they put the woman in the forefront, where it's like, you need to protect yourself, and that's the problem. And that's not the problem.
No, I
the
didn't say that was.
Is that the men are assaulting the women, right?
Yes.
And that's what should be the focus, not the women protecting
exactly.
themselves.
I totally agree. Like I said, I was just saying that social media can cause a lot of fear factors, but also a good society, the way you're raised, the way you're brought up in a good family, and also, hate to say it, you have men that have abandonment issues. You have women that have abandonment issues out there. And it sucks, guys. I know divorce rate is up, and you got your mom and your dad leaving, and it's horrible for a child. I mean, I experienced it myself. But then you have to, that's another fear which we're going to talk about. But you have to get past it. And then the men, it's difficult. This is really a heart-touching kind of subject for women and men to go through.
Well,
so
I think that the basic issue here is a societal issue, in that we have a situation where we have these people who are assaulting women, and enough so that a majority of women feel like they aren't safe outside at night. That they need to be walked around, especially in college campuses. It's common for a woman to need an escort to get home or something when it's late. Mm-hmm. And there's reasons for that, because women have been assaulted on college campuses.
Well, why don't we find a way to, the only way I could see us dealing with this, why? Because, we're just not going to deal with the men right away. It's just not something that's going to change. That's going to be a society change. So what we can do is maybe offer more advice to women of making sure you plan ahead of where you're going, get a safe ride to your destination. Make sure you keep something on you, a protection, just in case.
You're back on the part where you're like, it's the woman's responsibility.
Well,
that's not what we should be
you missed
debating.
what I said. You missed what I said. I said the man thing that's happening right now is not going to happen in a blink. So we can talk about those things, but what can a woman do right now to feel a little bit safer is what I was saying.
Right.
And that's the only way, is putting the woman out in the front when they are alone.
I'm pretty sure that
it's either that or hide in your house.
Pretty sure that they already have that covered. Right?
Okay.
They don't need a man to tell them that.
Well, what man are you talking about?
Us.
Oh,
we're guys.
I leave us out of this, by the way.
All right.
So I'm just talking in general what women can do right now to feel a little bit safer. Those women that are feeling overly overwhelmed, where it's gotten to the point where you can't leave your home, or you're afraid to go to work, you're afraid to drive on the streets, or you're afraid. I would say, like I said, when you are in that situation, outside of what Deep Think's saying, when you are in that situation and you're forced in that situation, make sure it's well planned with everything that you're doing. You drive to work. Make sure you always know your surroundings at your house. Make sure you always know your surroundings where you're at all times. Make sure that I'm just talking about protection, what they could be doing to kind of, until we have this society problem under control, because the society problem that we're discussing is not going to happen in one night.
Right.
So it's like, say if I was in fear of a killer that was out there, and I had this huge fear. that the huge fear of the killer is not going to instantly go away. He's out there. So I have to do something to protect myself to make me feel better. So if it comes to wearing a bulletproof vest or or planning my time or not going certain places that could put me in that situation, then I'm going to better prepare myself to protect myself to make myself feel better so I don't have to be imprisoned by it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where I was getting, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I have a little bit of an issue with sort of addressing stuff like that because it kind of like feels very similar to the argument that like the woman was asking for it because they were dressed all like scantily.
Then basically you might as well put men in that situation too, because men.
Right.
Well, you should have wore a bulletproof vest, FBI, instead of getting shot by the highway guy.
What we should instead be talking about is what can men do to help other men, like, not be that guy.
Well, let's go, since you want to talk about that subject, let's get off of what women can do then, because obviously you don't like it. So we'll go to more of men out there. Dude, come on, man. The world is a very cynical place out there, but it's not worth hurting another person over.
Well, I think we kind of have to get into the kind of mindset that a person like that is in. I mean, they're not. I don't want to be in a mindset
of hurting somebody.
No, they're not thinking with their head, right?
Yeah. So like, how about this? Since I don't have obviously the answers to this, the mic is over to you, Deep Think. What do you think would be a solution to help men cover this situation?
I think that speaking directly to the types of guys who would do something like that is kind of a lost cause on this show.
That's exactly what I was saying. But it's overwhelming.
Talking to other guys who like see this around them is worthwhile.
Well, that's something we have to do off the show, but aren't we trying to help them out on the show today?
Oh yeah.
Give advice. That's where I'm going. That's the direction.
Like what I'm saying is like if you see a guy creeping on a girl, be the dude.
Oh. Yeah, okay, now that works. So guys, if you see go ahead. Sorry, you'll take this one. I just took that one away from you. Sorry.
That's fine. Don't worry. Be the guy who's like walks up and's like, "Hey, how's it going?" and like acts like the boyfriend or something in order to like get the creeper to go away.
That's a good idea. So did you hear that, ladies? So basically, men that are out there, the good guys, start watching over the ladies out there. Start looking around. I didn't even think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good idea. So men, guys, start looking over the women, but don't like look over them, if you know what I mean. But like just kind of glance over. If you see something strange going on, don't be afraid to step in and say, "Hey, are you okay, miss? Are you just fine?" And show how much of a gentleman we can be out there.
Right. And that's what builds a healthy society, is people looking out for one another.
Yes.
Because there will always be creepers out there.
Unfortunately, they've been around forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's never going to
even
change.
the Stone Ages, you got these weird people.
That's what you get when you have free will. You get everything. Yeah. Absolutely everything.
Exactly. So that is one way we can start to help with this this fear factor that women have towards men.
Yeah.
Guys, let's take the focus off the women, like Deep Think said, and let's more focus on us. What are we going to do to make women feel safer out there? I mean, it's going to take a little bit of effort, but, what about the old days when we really liked a woman? We bought her flowers. We did romantic things. I mean, romance is not dead out there, guys. It's still there. It's just, I think you're letting society pull you this way and pull you that way. Oh, that's weird, dude. You shouldn't do that. Oh, that's Hallmark. Oh, that's this, that's that. Guys, don't listen to society. If you feel your heart reaching out for a woman, don't be afraid to be nice and ask her out and say, "Hey, what's up? How you doing? My name's so-and-so. Would you like to go to dinner sometime?" But that's another fear that we can talk about. How about that? The fear of approaching a woman.
Right. Well,
that's just fearful by itself, because if you're a shy person, right?
Yeah.
If you're really shy.
The thing is that when you approach people, like, especially if you don't have a previous contact through a friend or anything like that, it's a risk.
And you have a stage fright kind of feeling. There's always a possibility that they're like, ew, get away from me. I know, because you're so nervous. You're like, I'm sweating and I don't know what to do. And this is my first time. And hey, hi, I'm so-and-so. And I just wanted to say that you look really beautiful. Can you get away from me?
Right, exactly.
I mean, my heart goes out to you guys. Okay,
right.
I feel you. I mean, it's honestly I think people put it out more difficult than what it is, but it is a fear that you have to get. I remember in high school, I remember that same fear. I was afraid to walk up to any girl because I was like, ooh,
right.
they're going to judge me and everything else. But that is the thing. It
doesn't have to be like a girl or a guy or the opposite sex. It can just be generally trying to
attract the opposite sex, basically.
No. I'm talking about just social situations. Like it could be like a group of guys that you want to become friends with. Oh, yeah,
exactly.
You walk up there, you introduce yourself, it might not go well.
I know. I mean, guys, you've got some, oh my God. I went through that big times.
Mm-hmm.
Where I would walk up and then you have the guys that are all being nice to you, but as soon as a woman walks in the room, they're like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Hey, I got a car and I got this and that. Hey, Brian, are you, hey, am I still here, or did you just like take off suddenly? Oh, dude, I'll be right with you in just a second, man. Right. I call that two-faced guys. I don't do that to my friends. Yeah. I mean, I stay pretty true. If a woman walks in the room, everybody's treated equal in my world. I don't treat anyone any different because someone walks in the room. It doesn't matter if the president of the United States walked in the room. I would not bow down on my knees. He would get treated as equal as I treat everyone else, and that's what I stand for, is equalism. I keep saying equalism. Is that a word? Equalism?
I don't think so.
Okay. But that should be a word. Equalism.
Right.
A civilization being equal to everybody.
But honestly, I think that as long as something that you say is comprehensible, it should be considered a word.
Your cat eyes. I know. It's kind of cute. He's like, meow. So, all right. So the social fear of people walking up to and meeting somebody. These days, it's like, well, let's see. Hi. You hear the girl say, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing just fine. And then, so I hope your day's going good. My day's kind of being weird, but, oh, you say way too much on your text. Oh my God. It's gone already. It's, or just talking in general. Guys, texting on the phones are really overrated these days because I don't know about you, Deep Think, but I like talking to a person because
I like talking to them too, but there's some things that are great for text, like when you need just a short conversation. You also need it recorded.
I know,
to show that you agreed on something. It's always nice.
I've really tried to communicate through text, but guys and girls, I have a busy life too. It's not like if I need one question asked, I don't want it to take oh, you caught me at a wrong time, but I have this question for you. So I need to know what color you like and what time you want it sent up and this and that. And then the person goes, I like color blue. Okay, I need the time still. A day later, they answer back, here's the time. And for one little tiny question that could be solved just like that, it takes a few days.
Right. Calls are
that is not respectful to me.
Calls are basically for very complex interactions where you have a lot of details you need to exchange. But if you just need to be like, hey, how's it going? How you doing today? Yeah, it's a good starter at least, right?
Well, it's a good starter.
If you have a lot of other stuff to talk about, you can always call after that.
But don't live your life off of text,
right?
Because text.
I think we're kind of getting off topic.
Yeah. Well, it's the fear of the person not texting you back.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Because text can really, really twist a conversation. You don't know how the other person's feeling on the other line. They could say something really nice. Name something you could say that could be taken two ways. Do you think?
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So someone says, yeah. What would be the sentence they say? They ask to say okay. So I had a bright and happy day today. Okay.
Right. Like,
now you were just saying okay, but on their end they're like, okay. What the? See how it can be misconstrued to think differently?
Right.
I've had so many problems with text. I don't even like texting anymore.
Yeah.
I like talking on the phone, and if I can't talk on the phone, I just basically, if I have to be friends with someone that is just all text, that friend will be gone. So, but anyways, fear of text. So let's get back on the other subject here. So, let's go back to, how about relationships again? Okay, how a woman or man gets over a significant other, and that is part of the way that, you know, women and men fear getting into another relationship. What would be your first suggestion on that, by the way?
I think that once you break up, you should immediately jump into a new relationship with the first person that you meet.
Oh, that's horrible advice. Deep think. What are we teaching them out there? Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So what I think is the first thing you need to do, so you don't have that fear of getting your heart broken or getting into another relationship because it's too stressful. Because when you get older, you get a busy life, you got kids, you got work, you got your responsibilities that you have to do. And the last thing you need is something that's going to drag you down or break your heart, because that is energy that we all need to keep inside of ourselves, to be strong, to be loving, to be, you know, and trust. So the first thing, other than what Deep Think said, don't keep reminders of the past. I'm talking about rings, pictures, a sweater, anything, even old texts. And I'm saying, if you really want that person completely out of your life, physically and mentally, you have to erase their phone number out of your phone. Don't block them. Erase the phone number. Completely erase the phone number, so you don't have any existence of that person ever again. And then, what's the next thing you think we should do?
Get rid of their stuff.
Get rid of their stuff. So, yeah. So get rid of all the things that remind. Now, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to recreate your life again, because I know how hard it is when you get your heart broken out there to recreate yourself again. You have to find yourself. You have to listen to new music. You have to. I know all the places. Say if you live in a small town, and you know, all the different places that you used to go to with your significant other. You know, don't be fearful to go back to those places, because you'll have new memories at those places that will reform from going to the old places again. But take your time. A lot of people jump back into relationships after 4 or 5 months, and they expect no repercussions from that, when they still have damage inside from the old, and they put high expectations. Women and men do, men and women, either or, back and forth. They put high expectations of the next person that comes in their life. Like, well, you're supposed to do this because my ex did this and it really irritated me.
Right.
And you're supposed to, you know, or you remind me of what my ex did.
That's called baggage.
Well, it is baggage, but I don't like to say that word.
Why not?
I like to say
what it is, basically.
Well,
you're carrying all your old stuff with you.
Yeah. What you're doing is, I call it passing the demons.
Yeah.
They without my demons no more. You know, your favorite song, Deep Think.
Right.
It's called passing the demons. Basically, you get these demons inside of you from being heartbroken, from being hurt, and then when you break up with that person, you live with these demons, and if you do not simmer those demons out of you, oh the Lord, simmer those demons out of you. Exorcism, no. Get those demons out of you, you're going to end up passing that to the next person you get involved with. And it's going to be hard the first few years because you're just going to constantly bump heads. So if you take your time, the most important thing is to take your time to yourself and heal up properly. And I mean, get used to being alone in your bed. Get used to being... I lose it, man. You're oh man, that's so funny. Every time I look over at your mask, you're just smiling. Yeah, even though I'm talking about a very sad subject here, but so you have to be able to be alone. Learn to be alone in your home. Learn to just go grocery shopping alone, and when you finally love yourself again, because you got to see that the fear of trust again, no one's going to make you trust again. You have to get that on your own again. No one's going to make you love again, guys or girls. So you have to do that on your own. You can't expect a woman to come into your life and suddenly start making you love again. It doesn't work that way. You have to love yourself. You have to find yourself. You have to soul search for yourself. And you got to find your happiness, that same happiness you had before you met that other significant other that broke your heart. You have to find yourself again, and then that's what'll help you out. Yeah. What do you think?
I think that you definitely need time. When you've gotten out of a really serious relationship,
be patient.
Yeah, it takes some time on your own to get your feet back under you and figure out who you are without the person who you were with.
And it's going to be difficult. You're going to cry a lot of nights. Guys and girls, it's going to be hard, and you're going to be sitting in your bed and just, missing someone being beside you. But you have to remind yourself of why you broke up. So you're like, I don't want to go back that direction, and I don't want to stick another person in my bed unless I know this person, unless I can be good for this person.
Right. And talking about fear, fear of being alone is a very real fear.
Yeah.
And that can cause people to jump from relationship to relationship just to try to be around other people, because other people is a large part of how we define who we are.
Yes.
And if you're able to build a solid foundation on your own knowledge about who you are,
yes,
then you will have a solid basis to stand on whether you're with someone or not.
Yes.
Which is incredibly important.
Yes, and once you get that, I mean, well, you have to empty your plate first. Empty your cup. Empty it from any kind of past that you possibly thought about, like any bad situation, trauma. You have to empty it all out. And once you empty it all out and you live in the moment, and you get rid of the toxic people around you. That's another thing that helps with the fear, is you got to get rid of toxic people in your life to make sure that you've got a good surrounding around you. Having a good amount of good vibes around you also is very important to help you be a very strong, hardworking person. I give this to Will Smith, even though he smacked Chris Rock on the stage and stuff. And don't get me wrong, he's been through a lot in his life. I mean, him and his wife have been through traumatic things, and I kind of feel why Will Smith made the decision that he did. But the thing is, to be able to become a stronger person and become the person that you want to be, where you do not fear society, is you gotta get your feet wet. You gotta be willing to go, let's take some chances. Let's get up on that stage and sing. It's almost like, me being a musician. When I first got on that stage, I was so nervous, and I had 50 people in the room, and I was just like, oh God, and I'm singing, and I'm like, you got to take chances if you want to get over your fear.
Yeah.
You got to practice at it.
So a large part of getting over fear is exposure.
Yes.
So the more you experience something, the less fear it's going to induce in you, because you're starting to gain a knowledge basis about what to expect.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing more frightening than not knowing what to expect.
Yes. And then that comes to our next subject, the fear of being wrong or you feel stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this happens a lot when you're talking with people.
Yes.
Like in conversations. Let's say you're having a debate about a topic and you have a very strong opinion about what you believe in. And having that strong opinion is fine and it's good. But
Yeah.
if you identify with it, if you think that if I've like identified with this and it turns out I was wrong, right?
Yep.
Then suddenly, if like you're in a social situation and you're having this debate with somebody, especially in front of other people,
yeah,
and like they just like wipe the floor with your idea. They
well
bring up topics that you never even thought about.
Well, there's a way you can adjust to that.
Well, the thing is that like it turns into it's no longer a debate anymore.
Before it
turns into. Can I finish?
Go ahead. Sorry.
It turns into a self-defense issue. It's like if I lose this argument, I'm going to look dumb in front of all these people. So, and that leads to people latching onto an idea and arguing for it, even when it is absolutely obvious that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And this is, I think, a large reason why a lot of political debates go sour, because people hold those ideas very very personally, and they're like, this is who I am. If suddenly I get proven wrong, then like you're destroying me.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, no, I'm just trying to like understand this topic and figure out how what the truth is, but it turns that wholesome argument into a fight, basically.
Yes.
That has personal stakes, and it's something you have to be very aware of when you're in a conversation with somebody. Is, has that line been crossed? Are we still debating about the topic, or are we now into the realm of self-defense?
Yeah. Well, you know how I would handle it?
How's that?
Honestly, I really don't care if I'm wrong. It doesn't bother me that bad. Honestly, I look at it as an invitation to learn something new.
That's good.
Yeah. I go in and I go, and I see what I would do if someone said, you're totally wrong. Like, Deep Think always calls me wrong all the time. And I just go, oh, I didn't know that. Well, that's cool. Thank you for telling me and clarifying that. Now I'll know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean, guys, that you
don't. Healthy way to have a debate.
And it doesn't mean that you don't know anything. It just means you didn't know that one thing. Don't pull yourself down all the way because you failed on one thing. Guys, this world is all about failing and succeeding. Okay? We're not always going to succeed, and we're not always going to fail. So don't be fearful of those two things. Come into it with open arms and say, you know what? I'm just going to do the best that I can and be willing to learn no matter what.
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent way to be. But you have to realize that
that also helps communication too.
Not everybody that you talk to is going to have that kind of knowledge and like foundation on how to deal with these things.
It takes practice
in a healthy way. It does take practice.
It does take practice.
But like if you're talking with somebody who hasn't developed these things and is very holds their ideas very personally, then you have to
I've dealt with those kind of people before.
Yeah. Like it's a very important thing to be able to tell when you're it's gotten to the realm where they feel like you're attacking them.
Yep.
Personally.
That's where I go and that's another thing about a conversation is you've got to notice when you're doing that to somebody, and if they're feeling that, be aware of your surroundings, and when they do that, find a way to back off and ease into and make them comfortable about talking about something that's very difficult for them.
Right.
So it's just awareness would help out a lot in a conversation to help the other person vocalize what they really want to say.
And compassion is also key.
Yes.
Showing that you're not attacking them, that you actually value their opinion and you don't think they're stupid.
And the most important thing, you want to breathe.
Right.
I go, take a deep breath, get that oxygen right in that brain, and release it and go. And even sometimes doing that, like what I just did with deep think, I went deep think. I'm going to take a breath real fast and go. And even vocalizing it and saying what you're going to do, because I feel nervous right now, but I'm going to calm down in just a second, sometimes can help you also ease the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, yeah, because we're talking about conversations or debates turning into self-defending. So, identifying ideas that someone is suggesting and talking about the idea without being defensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, the next thing is propaganda. Yes. So
the thing that is the tool of fear.
Yeah.
Propaganda uses fear as a tool.
Attempts to sway a popular opinion, basically.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second. Take it over.
Well, I think the most interesting and well-known commercial of this was like back in the Cold War, I think.
Yes.
The Bear in the Woods.
Cold War were a lot of Americans against Russia.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically there was this TV commercial which was like, there's a bear in the woods and you should be frightened of the bear. And basically the bear was an allegory for Russia. And
oh, that's what it was?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
He's teaching me right now, so I have no knowledge of this. I mean, we talked about it, that we discussed it on the show, so I'm learning as you're learning, by the way. So I will give my opinions on this. So go ahead.
Right. So basically, like, it's an attempt to like villainize an other, basically.
Kind of like what Russia's doing towards America right now by playing
right, and
commercials.
America's doing towards Russia.
And America's doing towards Russia. They're doing the same thing towards each other to make us dislike Russians, which we shouldn't. We should not dislike Russians. We should not dislike China people. We should be worried about their governments, because their governments are mostly doing this. The people are so awesome. I've got friends in China. I got friends in Australia. I've got friends in Russia. I got friends in Ukraine, and they're awesome with their families, their moms, their sisters. We get along like two peas in a pod. And then they tell me what's showing on their TVs, the commercials that are going on in Russia with, I can't really, I don't want to say it too much, but it's a commercial that's degrading Americans and making Russians think that we are bad people.
Yeah. I actually saw one of these, which was actually pretty funny. You saw one? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so explain it.
It was a family of Russians who were immigrating to America because they thought it was better in America. But then they get on the plane, and suddenly, like, there's a black person also on the plane, and he's like, "I'm a black person. You must bow down to me and fulfill my every wish." and then and then there's like a gay guy who came on the plane. And he's like, "I'm a gay guy. You must like get down and like do whatever I say." Yeah. And then it goes through a whole bunch of this stuff where
all the different varieties of Americans, basically.
Right. Well, like all of this, like way over, like selling the idea that like Americans are like beholden to like black people and gay people and stuff like that. And then it shows like them like jumping out of the plane with parachutes saying, "I'm sorry, Russia, we're coming back. It's terrible over in America."
You see this, guys? You hear this? I mean, this is what other countries perceive us as, when we are all just equal to each other.
It's not what other countries perceive it as. It's what their governments want.
Oh, what the governments,
to perceive us as.
It's just terrible.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a different commercial. It was a little bit more degrading, but yeah, I don't want to talk about it, honestly, but it was upsetting that, yeah. But just know this, guys. Society, you know, we've been talking about fears, and society, the way we are, it's really difficult to put all this in wording. We need to trust each other. We need to walk into the darkness, and I ain't talking about going to a dark alley, but darkness as in things that we fear. We need to test the grounds when it comes to relationships. Guys, girls, we need to trust each other more. We need to believe in each other more. I mean, we're on this earth together. Not everyone is going to be a bad person, and not everyone's going to be a good person. But we don't need to put ourselves in our own prisons fearing that those things are going to happen, because we're just going to end up. What's the movie where we put on the glasses and we have avatars that walk around, they're robots? What is that? It's Surrogate. How do you say it?
Surrogate, yeah.
Surrogate. Yes. So basically, it's where the people put on these glasses. Like I said, they put on these glasses and they only stay at home, and they do not leave their houses whatsoever. They have these robot versions of them that are all, beautiful and pretty looking and stuff like that go out and interact with the other robots. And then, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's just like social media with extra steps.
Yeah, social media. Let's hope it doesn't go that way, because talk about feeling alone. You will definitely be alone like that.
Oh, yeah.
You will definitely be by yourself, and you will thrive for that attention. And at the end of the movie, they break out of being those robots, and they start all coming out of their homes. And they start being a society again. So we got two choices here. We can start changing as a society and say, you know what? We need to start going out into the darkness. We need to start venturing out and not having that fear of social interaction, or having the fear that some man might hurt us, as in women. We should protect ourselves, kind of have street smarts, and at the same time, men, guys, you need to protect your women, and you need to go out there, and if you see any women that are in despair, make sure it's a good situation, that's like, you see someone. I mean, I think anybody can notice a situation if it's getting bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So make sure you're well aware, and just, it's not only men taking care of women. We all need to take care of each other.
Absolutely.
As a society. We need to do this, I mean, not only in the United States, but everywhere across this earth. We need to take care of each other. We need to stop having wars with each other. We need to, I know this is going to take a long time, Deep Think. I know it's going to take a very long time, but it's got to start somewhere. And if this is where it starts on this talk show, then this is where it's got to start, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that these things ebb and flow. You have periods where there's a lot of violence and distrust, followed by periods where there's like people who now understand that it's terrible to be in constant war, so they actually put out the energy to try to create a healthy society. I think that in America, we're very blessed to have kind of had a clean slate, so that we can experiment with being able to have a society based off of the needs of the people instead of the needs of the wealthy and powerful.
Did you hear that? Straight from Deep Think. I am tired of war. I know what the wars are caused by, because America is kind of a more paradise than a lot of places on this planet, and resources, and what we've discussed in other shows. And, the main fear we need to have, the fear of losing society, the fear of losing our country, the fear of losing what we still can grasp on and take a hold of and come together as one.
Yeah, what we have right now is incredibly valuable.
Yes, because the fear we have right now is separating us. The fear we have right now is terrible. The fear we have right now is pretty much going to a destruction of our society,
Right.
so our America.
Yeah, what we have right now is a government that has separation of powers, which is very, very, very important in keeping it from degrading into a dictatorship. You have the justice system, the presidential part of it, and what was the third one?
You're saying
there's judicial, presidential, and one other.
We'll just say I'm dumb and I don't know.
Right, I'm feeling really dumb now too.
Exactly. This is one of those moments that I don't know.
Oh man.
And I don't feel, I don't feel nervous or anything that I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love to learn and see. Obviously,
gonna be looking that up later.
Yeah.
But anyways, we have separations of concerns with different powers that are balancing each other out, so that no one power can just be like, I'm king, and you can all suck it. So we need to value that tremendously and understand that anybody who threatens that is not a good person, not somebody that we need in power or that we want to have in power, because that leads down a very bad road.
Yes, we have a good thing here in America, and the way we're treating each other and the way that we are acting right now is going to ruin it. And we're going to lose all those privileges that we have because of our own stupidity.
Yep. So, fear the right things.
Be smart, girls. I'm telling you, be smart. And you have the right fear, but just don't let it eat you up so much that it causes you to have to be alone by yourself. And, of course, men, come on. We're better than this, guys. We can change to help women out, to help them become more better trusting on us men. This can change, but you got to be willing to put the effort in and stop being fearful to put one foot in front of the other. We're all going through this together, guys. No one's alone. We're all here on this earth together going through this process. So whenever you feel singled out, whenever you're at home alone and you're not in a relationship and you're recreating yourself, you're not alone. There is other people that are alone also with you. So get out there. Do something about it. Stop living in fear. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So we tried to go over every kind of fear possible out there. I think we did a good job.
Yeah. There's endless things that you could be afraid of, but
yeah, I mean, and don't be afraid of the boogeyman. I mean, like Michael Myers or
right.
or Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
that's Wolverine actually. Freddy Krueger's.
Freddy Krueger's like this.
Yeah, I mean, and any kids that are watching this, don't be afraid of the boogeyman. Boogeyman's not real. Monsters aren't real. Okay, they will never hurt you, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's just all movies. And anywho, well, we've said as much as we can on this subject because every subject that we talked about was super long and super intense, and there's a lot more to say, but unfortunately we have run out of time. So the best advice we can give you is don't live in fear. What would you say?
I'd say don't live in fear, but be aware of your fear when it comes up, because you have evolved into this human being that has this type of basic knowledge that comes from your genetics that has helped all of your ancestors. Everybody who's come before you has survived because they were afraid of the correct things.
And don't be fearful of change. Change needs to happen right now. That's all I got to say. All right, guys, you be good. I'm Dusty Neal.
And I'm Deep Thing.
And we'll be back again. We'll see ya.
Ciao.